What's up YouTube? I'm Mike and today I'm back with another steroid explanation video. Today we're going to be talking about Trenbolone. Check that shit out. I just got that in the mail today. I'm probably going to have some shirts made soon too. Today what we are talking about, this is the third steroid in the list. And that's the reason being is besides the fact that I tried other hormones before Trenbolone, Trenbolone is the God particle. It is the most important steroid in the whole mix. It is the most notorious steroid ever made. And because it is my favorite steroid and has become basically the foundation of my channel, I couldn't hold off any longer in talking about it. And then when my Trenbolone hat came in the mail today, it felt like it was divinely determined that today's video would be about Trenbolone. So that's what we're going to be talking about. 17-beta Trenbolone. Why is it known as 17-beta Trenbolone? Purely because the esters that are attached to the Trenbolone molecule, whether that be an acetate, an enanthate, a hexylbenzocarbonate, are attached at the 17th carbon at the beta position. But you guys don't give a shit about that, right? What you want to hear about is how Trenbolone is going to turn you into a fucking god amongst men. Because that is exactly what it does. Trenbolone is the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. It is that which gives you and makes you like God, knowing good and evil. That's why it's the most notorious steroid on the planet. That's why no one wants you to take it. And today I am here to update my previous video that now has over 80,000 views titled Trenbolone, a Love Story. So since I've been in love with Tren for quite a while now, and as you know, relationships can change from day to day, I felt like it was time to update this video so that you'd have the latest, greatest data on Trenbolone because a lot of shit has changed in my life since I first started running it. So Trenbolone is a 19-nor-testosterone derivative. That means the drug is not going to 5-alpha reduce into some other product, and it is also not going to be a substrate for aromatase expression, which means when you are running Trenbolone, you're not going to have to worry about getting any excess DHT production, and you're not going to have to worry about estrogen building up. The one thing that you do need to know, despite what idiots in the community, you got a hair in my face, what idiots in the community will tell you, Trenbolone can and will cause conditions very similar. It will cause Trendick or Decadick because Trenbolone binds to the progesterone receiver with a relatively high affinity. So when you inject Trenbolone, some of it will bind to the progesterone receiver and will activate it. One of the things this can do is it can cause the release of prolactin. If your prolactin level gets too high, you will experience Decadick, which is typically where either A, you can't get an erection at all, or B, you can get one, but it's kind of dodgy, or C, you can get one, but you cannot maintain it for any length of time. It's all over the place. In me, a rise in prolactin also causes a very deep, dark, terrible, horrible, like depression is not even a good word for it. It's just a darkness that I cannot climb out of. So that is its biological functioning. People will tell you that Trenbolone is hepatotoxic, kidney toxic, neurotoxic. All of the people who are telling you that are absolutely full of shit. Not a single one of them can back up any of these claims with any empirical data. And I have, in fact, on this channel run studies to disprove the vast majority of it. I have run Trenbolone for periods of up to 1 year at a time, never getting off Tren for one consecutive year. And my AST, ALT levels were not elevated above baseline. Trenbolone is definitively not hepatotoxic in any dose that you are likely to run. I will leave open that if you're pinning a gram of fucking Trenbolone, maybe there's some kind of cascading effect after activating the progesterone receiver at that high level. But as far as the molecule itself being a 19-nor-testosterone drug, there is no room for hepatotoxicity at all. Often people will tell you that it's kidney toxic. There's furthermore no science to back this up. one thing that you probably will notice if you start running Trenbolone is that your urine can be a freakishly dark orange color, almost the color of the Trenbolone itself. I don't know why this happens in the beginning, but it seems for me to be only in the beginning. I think that Trenbolone definitely raises your body temperature. It causes excess sweating. So I think what happens is guys jump on Tren and they get a little dehydrated out the gate and they see this freakish color of urine and then they panic and they go, it's destroying my kidneys. If you stay hydrated, there's no evidence that Trenbolone does anything negative to your kidneys. Complete bullshit. One of my subscribers actually put forth a pretty interesting idea that maybe the reason Trenbolone has a bad name for being kidney toxic is because it's often run during prep phases where guys are dehydrated and using diuretics, and they're using Tren to hold on to as much muscle as they can because they're in a severely catabolic state. And maybe the Tren enhances, that it becomes kidney toxic in that condition because you're already massively dehydrated. That seems like a very realistic possibility when it comes to talking about Trenbolone. So, before we get into the pros and cons of Trenbolone, that's a little bit of data to just dispel the bullshit. When I'm talking about Trenbolone, understand that I am talking only about Trenbolone Enanthate. That is the only version of Tren I have ever run. I've never run Tren Ace, although I'm giving very serious thought to jumping straight from Tren E to Tren Base, and if I do that, this channel will be the first to know about it because I suspect that I'm going to have some very acute effects from doing that if I end up doing it. So I'm only going to be talking about Trenbolone E, which is why you're not going to hear me talking about the dreaded Tren cough. I have run Tren for almost consistently for 3 years now. I have had hundreds of injections of Trenbolone all over my body. I pin delts, pecs, sub-Q, sometimes glutes, quads. I've pinned Tren all over my body. I have never one single solitary time gotten Tren cough while pinning Tren E. I don't think it happens. So we're not going to be talking about Tren cough. So for starters, let's talk about the pros. The pros of Trenbolone, number one is strength. Trenbolone has the capacity to give you ungodly or maybe godly amounts of strength. I have run Anadrol, Anavar, high doses of testosterone, combinations of all of the above. No drug I have ever run gives the profound kind of strength that Trenbolone can produce, especially in your first couple of cycles with it. I've been running it long enough now where my strength and shit are kind of maxed out. Like if I jump on a new Tren Blast at 350, I'm not going to have anything remarkable happen relative to my new baseline. But rest assured, the first time I ran Trenbolone, I used to log every single set and exercise, like everything. I had a lift log and I logged everything. During my first Tren cycle, when the Tren really started kicking in around weeks 4 to 6 maybe, it was just like I would go to the gym and it's just like PR, 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 PR. I used to write, anytime I would PR, I have a Galaxy phone that's got the stylus. And so I would write like bench press, 275 times 9, whatever, 305 times 4, whatever. So I would write the sets and reps, and then if I had a PR on that set, I would write in red PR. And I'm telling you, the first time I ran Tren, I fell in love. It was my whole lift log, which would be PR, 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 PR. Every single exercise. And so when you go to the gym and you're setting PRs on your, 6th or 7th exercise at four sets per exercise, it is a phenomenal feeling to suddenly be as strong as the gods. Trenbolone makes you fucking Hercules in the gym. And so what's phenomenal alongside of the strength that Tren produces is the intensity that it allows you to use to take full advantage of the strength. So like before I started using Tren, I had run like test and Deca, test and a little bit of D-ball, not huge cycles. I did my first Tren cycle starting at 200 milligrams a week, and then I immediately, like week 2, bumped up to 300 milligrams. And I went from training from like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to the point where I would be in the gym for 2 hours straight, and my wife would be like, we've got to go. We cannot be here all night. It just insatiable amounts of intensity. You can just train as hard as you want, as long as you want. The Tren makes you just absolutely invincible feeling. So accompanying the strength and the intensity is the thing that is driving driving it all, and that is that Tren creates an aggression inside of you that you have likely never felt in life. It turns you into the most primal alpha fucking predator you can imagine. You feel like a fucking lion on the savannah. I said in my previous video that I can remember it seemed to just heighten all of my senses, like especially my sense of smell. And if there's like, I was working out at LA Fitness at the time. There's this guy that never fucking wore deodorant of any kind. This motherfucker smelled like he'd never even seen a shower. Like he'd never even walked down the fucking deodorant aisle to have possibly purchased a stick. And he would walk by and there would just be this fucking cloud, this stench cloud that would follow him. And I would become so enraged sitting on a machine smelling this that I would just start fantasizing about all the ways that I could fucking off this guy. I would just be sitting there fantasizing about picking up an easy curl bar and just fucking smashing his fucking brains out with it. Like, this is the kind of homicidal rages it can cause inside of you before you become a seasoned Tren user. And that's exactly what I talked about in my previous video. And what I didn't realize in the beginning, and what I think leads to a lot of guys pulling the plug on Tren, is they have all of these really acute effects the first time they run the drug. They're crazy angry to the point of being violent. They have massive uncontrollable intensity. Their strength is going through the roof. They feel like fucking gods. And that has a strong effect on your ego. It makes you feel literally like you are a god, and every single person around you is just a fucking peasant that you just want to walk over and fucking dominate. You fucking mean mug everybody. You look down your nose at everybody. You feel superior to every single person around you. Somebody tries to criticize you, get in your anything, any type of negativity or anything that you even remotely perceive as negative is enough to just set you the fuck off. And so in the early going, when you don't have experience with the drug, when you haven't learned yet that this is what happens and you kind of get used to it, it can be a hell of a lot to handle. And I think that's why a lot of guys freak out and they're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna touch this shit again. It can very easily cost you your job, destroy your marriage, destroy your relationship, because it makes you feel so superior to everybody else that you stop giving a shit what anybody else thinks about you. And so when your girl's trying to fucking tell you what an asshole you're being, you're just like, fuck you, bitch. You don't care. You're also so sexually primed that you feel like any woman you come into contact with would be fucking lucky to have you inside her. So when your girl starts giving you a rash of shit, you literally just feel like you just want to flick her away so you can go replace her. I have read countless stories. I just read a comment the other day on one of my channels. This guy saying, I'm going through a divorce right now because I couldn't stop cheating on my wife. Tren will absolutely make you do shit that you otherwise would not do. And so the intense ego and the intense sexual drive is a lot to cope with. Like when you first get on Tren, and this shit, even on Tren E, this will happen in the first week to 2 weeks. You will become so hypersexualized. Sex with your girl that you already are with will become primal and fucking vicious. Like if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, the way the Dothraki fuck, that's how you feel on Tren. You are like mounting your girl and you're literally looking around the room to see if there's anybody in there that's trying to get a piece of what you have so you can just fucking attack them. You feel like an animal in every conceivable way. From the way that you view the world, the way that you view relationships, the way that you view sex, the way in the business environment. depending on what your job is, it will make you an absolute conqueror. If you're in any kind of competitive position, you are going to have a desire to dominate everyone around you, to be the best salesman or the best producer or whatever. If you're in a competitive type of job, Trenbolone can be your best friend. But it can also, for all of the reasons that this drug is so good, the very things that make it good are exactly what makes it incredibly dangerous and incredibly hard to control. So, for example, because you have unlimited strength, you feel like you can kick the shit out of anyone you come into contact with at the drop of a dime. It makes you feel bigger than everyone around you, and it definitively can make you overestimate your own abilities. I have heard countless stories of guys getting in bar fights, road rage fucking situations, abusing their girl, because you just feel so strong. It's like it's hard for you to imagine anybody could even possibly think of stepping to you. And when they do, you've got so much rage and intensity that it just fires. And if you're a person who has trouble controlling your temper, you can very easily get yourself locked up and be facing some very serious time for taking this fucking drug. It's something that you have to be very well aware of before you sign up for it. Trenbolone does not make you a different person, but it will massively intensify any one of your personality characteristics. So if you're already a short trigger, then you're gonna have massive aggression problems. If you're already hypersexualized, you're gonna have massive fucking libido problems. If you're already high-wired and energetic, you're gonna have a hard time sitting still and a very hard time going to sleep. Some people, on the other hand, who are very naturally laid back, they can brush shit off, they don't have racing thoughts, they don't have insecurities or dramas. Sometimes Trenbolone for them is really a much smoother ride than for guys like me. For guys like me, I am just constantly on edge. Trenbolone massively turns up your sympathetic drive state, which basically means that you're in a constant fight or flight mode. And so really when you're on Tren, you are just looking for trouble. It's like you're in a fucking race car, you've got the needle, you got the fucking RPMs in the power band, you're at 3,000, 3,500 RPMs, and you're just looking for a fucking excuse to race. You are looking at every person in every situation in the most negative light possible. You're automatically assuming that they're coming at you, that they're angling on you, that they're up to something. You don't trust anyone. You literally become like a predator or even a prey that's constantly looking for fucking danger. And so if you're with a girl, this can be very dangerous because you're going to assume that every single guy... See, the thing is, one of the things about Tren is it shows you the truth that a lot of times you try to ignore. You already know every single guy who sees your girl's trying to fuck her. That guys will fuck anything. They don't care. But you pass it off, you blow it off because... that's just the way life is. You can't just fire on every single guy that looks in your girl's direction. But when you're on Tren, every single one of those passing looks feels like a threat. It feels like they're trying to punk you. It feels like they're trying to check your girl out in your face, and it makes you feel like you have to do something about it. The Tren can convince you of all kinds of crazy shit. So on the one hand, you've got the positivity of the aggression that it drives that allows you to perform at this high level. But on the other hand, you've got this aggression that it provides that you have to constantly keep in check when you're not in the gym or you're not playing a sport or you're not in an environment where you can exercise your fucking demons. If you get into a fight with your girl, this shit is going to be extremely volatile. If you get into a situation at work, I ran multiple Tren cycles at work and I almost got myself fired every time I ran a cycle because I would just fucking come unhinged on one of the other guys at work. I came unhinged so fucking bad on this one guy that he literally went to my boss and told on me and asked my boss, like, do I have a reason to be afraid of this guy? And my boss literally said to him, look, dude, I'm gonna be honest, this guy's been to prison before for being violent. So the guy I fucking snapped on was like, holy fuck, I've stepped on a fucking landmine. And that's what it is. Like, you can be calm, cool, and collected one minute and an absolute raving fucking lunatic the next, and there's no warning. It's just flash, just like that. And so As I said earlier in the video, it does seem to upregulate your metabolism. One of the things that Tren is very good at is it is a protein sparing drug. So if you're in a cutting phase, there is nothing better than fucking Trenbolone for cutting. It's gonna allow you to eat far fewer calories, and it ramps up your metabolism so much that whether you're cutting or bulking, it seems to be very hard to get fat on Tren. Like when you're using Tren in a bulking phase, you feel like you can just eat cheeseburger after cheeseburger after cheeseburger, and you just don't get fat. One of the things that seems to be going hand in hand with that is it does seem to increase your body temperature, and again, being in that constant fight or flight state has some funny effects on the body. One of those things is that it can produce profound night sweats. I have only ever experienced this on 2 of the many Tren cycles that I've run. It seems to be something that maybe your body gets used to. On my first 2 Tren cycles, one at 300 and one at 550, I had fucking unbelievable night sweats. There's no way to put into words. You have to experience it yourself. Everybody can tell you it's like sleeping in a puddle. I'm telling you, it's like turning your bed into a pool. You will be covered in so much sweat. Like if you have even if you don't have a fan, like I would be sleeping in a puddle, and every time I would roll around in the sheets or move around in the bed, the air would hit the wet part of your skin and it would chill the skin. So you're constantly waking up in the night because one, you're having a hard time sleeping anyway, you're so amped, and then you're just literally drenched in fucking sweat. My wife was having to change the sheets every single night. It felt like we were laying in a pool. Luckily, that only happened a couple of times. It's never come back. I don't know why. I tried potassium. I tried a bunch of different supplements that people will talk about, saying that it's a cause of, they'll tell you everything from don't eat carbs before bed, that causes it. Eat carbs before bed so you don't have a sugar crash, that causes it. All the bro science will tell you a million different fucking things. The truth for me is that it only happened a couple of times, and I think it's just something that your body has to get used to. At least that's the way it was with me. Because of things like night sweats, etc., and because of just the fact that Tren puts you in this constantly amped up sympathetic drive state, it is absolutely catastrophic to your sleep. When I run anything over 200 milligrams, especially 300 plus, I usually take 10 milligrams at night to go to sleep anyway. I have a hard time sleeping to begin with. I was having to take as much as 20 milligrams of Ambien plus. Like at the time, I was also using like a CBD or even THC product to try to get to sleep and stay to sleep. I have a completely different cocktail of sleep meds now. We won't get into that for another video, but just rest assured that Trensomnia is a thing. It will definitely make it very, very hard for you to fall asleep and even harder to stay asleep. I cannot tell you the number of times in my early Tren cycles that I would fall asleep, wake up 3 to 5 hours later, and literally just want to get in the floor and do push-ups or get up and go to the gym. It just makes you feel like you just want to work out all the fucking time. You cannot stop trying to progress. It drives you that intensely. Again, I will admit, and that's part of the reason that I'm making this update video, I do not experience this same level of sympathetic drive, years down the road. I don't know if that's due to the fact that it's just become normal to me. Like I don't know what normal is anymore because I've run so much Tren and I've run it for such long periods of time. I ran a test where I did 50 milligrams of Tren per week for a year straight with 2 blasts in the middle, and then I have now been on a minimum of 100 milligrams of Tren E for the last 9 months with 1 blast in the middle of that where I went up to 350. So what's normal to me versus what is normal to a person who's never done Tren are 2 vastly differing things, and that is another one of the negatives. Tren is very secondarily addictive, and when I say secondarily addictive, what I mean is there is absolutely nothing about the chemical structure of Trenbolone that makes it addictive in the conventional sense. It's not like street drugs where you fiend for it, you crave it. The reason that it is so addictive for me is because The performance enhancement covers all facets of my life, from my sex game, to my ability to perform my job, my ability to perform in the gym, the strength, the endurance, the recovery, the protein sparing, the ability to cut, to recomp. It does so many things for you that it invades your entire life. And the thing that is really crushing, I made an entire video on what it feels like to come off trend. When you have your life enhanced to that degree and you come off, it can cause another very serious depression. Generally for me, the first 4 to 6 weeks off of a trend cycle are really good. Like my body's really needing a break. My brain's really needing a break from the constant sympathetic drive state. But after about 4 to 6 weeks, when the trend's like completely gone from my system, I just start missing it. I feel incomplete without it. I don't feel like a man without it. I just feel it just enhances my life in every single way. And so I have basically more or less been running trend since the first time I ran trend. Like I have gone very short periods of time in the last 3.5 years where there was not some amount of Trenbolone in the mix. If you are struggling to get to sleep, if you're on a deep trend cycle and you've been not sleep, like I used to sleep about 5 hours a night. And I was able to function every day. Like I wasn't falling asleep at work. I wasn't falling asleep at home. But the cumulative effects of lack of sleep cause extreme paranoia in me. People will often talk about trend paranoia. I don't think, and I have effectively confirmed this in my own studies since those first 2 cycles, trend does not inherently cause paranoia. Not for me at least. But if I start racking up many nights of bad rest, the paranoia will become very acute. I can remember one example where I was at LA Fitness and we had finished our workout. My wife was downstairs on the bottom floor and I was actually up trying to get a little cardio in, because that's the other thing we're going to be talking about in a minute. Trend hammers your cardio performance. And so I was trying to keep my cardio level up and I was riding on the bike and I watched her walk to the bathroom. And it's like, okay, no big deal. She's going to the bathroom. And then it's like, a few minutes goes by, 5 minutes, some amount of time went by. There's like, what the fuck is she doing in there? And then it's like, okay, no big deal. She's adjusting something. Well, then some more time goes by and she still hasn't come out of the bathroom. And then all of a sudden it flashed in my head at the end of the hall, right before the women's bathroom, there's like a handicap bathroom where you can go in there. Like 1 or 2 people could go in there and lock the door behind them. There's like a shower and a toilet. And all of a sudden, like I just started losing my shit. Like I was convinced that she was fucking somebody in that bathroom. Meanwhile, nothing on earth. I mean, if you knew my wife, nobody in their fucking wildest dreams would think that this is what she was getting up to. But in that moment, in the intense trend paranoia, not only did it seem logical and reasonable, it seemed like it was definitively happening. I was in the process of getting off the fucking machine to go apparently fucking thrash somebody into oblivion when she finally came walking out, and I still like fucking snapped on her. Where the fuck have you been? She's like, I went to the bathroom. What the fuck are you doing in there for so long? You taking a shit? What the fuck? She was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And there was a girl that works at the gym that was kind of like, she had something going on. And so she was real chatty. And this girl had cornered my wife in the bathroom. And so my wife is telling me in detail the whole conversation they just had. And I'm still like, it's still a lot for me to try to come down and believe that she's not manufacturing the story like on the spot. And that's when I finally was able to like go, holy shit, dude, you're totally out of control. So that's the thing, like the only good news is that the trend paranoia is a different kind of paranoia. It is paranoia on steroids. And so when you experience it a couple of times, like again, once you've got a couple of cycles under your belt, I say that I don't have trend paranoia now, but I think the truth is I'm just better at recognizing it, because it's like psychotic paranoia. It's not like, like reasonable shit. The shit your brain starts telling you is so out of fucking control that unless you're in an otherwise really unstable situation, it's pretty easy to go, okay, dude, like your wife has been in your visible eyesight for the past 4 consecutive weeks, and anytime she wasn't in your eyesight, she had 2 children, including your 13-year-old son, in her company. Like, where exactly do you think in this situation she's finding time to hook up with somebody at the Walmart grocery pickup line? But this is what you think. Like, literally, I have started to get paranoid that my wife was meeting somebody at the Walmart grocery pickup fucking lanes to, I don't even know what. They were doing something. Whatever they were doing in the fucking front of that truck was some nasty, filthy, dirty shit. I don't know what it was, but they were doing it. It's like, that's what the Trenbolone will do to you. And so again, once you become a more veteran user and you've got a couple of these cycles under your belt, it's easy to go, dude, fuck, shut up, this is the trend. She's not fucking blowing somebody in the front seat of the truck while the kids are in the back seat and somebody's putting groceries in the fucking tailgate. This is not what's happening. You're out of your fucking mind. Shut it down. And so paranoia can definitely be a problem in the early going. The other thing that has been true every single time I've run Tren, and it is as true to this very day, I don't know what the reason is for this, but I cannot breathe for shit when I'm on Tren. I can't breathe for shit in general just because I've put a lot of muscle, I've put a lot of body weight on. I started bodybuilding at 140 pounds and I weighed 210 last night. So 70 pounds, is that right? Good math? 70 pounds of muscle in 3 or 4 years. It's a lot of muscle to hang on your frame. And so my respiration is negatively affected anyway. It's not uncommon for me to, I get out of breath easily or I start deep breathing easily. But on Tren, it's terrible. I mean, Tren makes you want to fuck like an animal, but you will be panting like a dog the whole time if you're going more than 10 or 15 minutes. Like, you cannot breathe. And so, like, walking across just sitting up, trying to get out of bed, go to the bathroom, and I'll be, like, panting. So, if you're a cardio athlete, I would definitely not recommend Tren. Maybe this is not everybody, but there is a lot of anecdotal data in the community that Trenbolone has a very negative effect on your cardio performance. So what else can I say? Like I said, everything about Trenbolone enhances every facet of your life. I use Trenbolone in every single one of my cycles. I run it year round. I can confirm that every single thing you have been told by everyone about the toxicities of Tren are complete and total bullshit. I am convinced there is a conspiracy in this community to lie to people to keep them from doing Tren. I think it's done for 2 reasons. 1, I think that no one wants you to have the biggest competitive edge. And 2, because I think that there is an inherent fear that if there's any drug in the world that's going to get a lot of negative attention from the government, the police, etc., it is people in the midst of fucking Tren rages, because Tren, that's where all the stereotypes about fucking steroids, like people who've never done gear, they say that it causes all these problems. All the problems they say it causes, the steroids in general cause, can really be laid at the feet of Trenbolone. So it's just kind of the fucking redheaded stepchild, literally red looking in the bottle, in the steroid pharmacology list. Another thing to talk about, I think I touched on this in the beginning, Trenbolone binds to the progesterone receptor with a very high affinity. If you are going to run Trenbolone in any kind of reasonable fucking dose, you need to do something to offset the prolactin that will build up in your body. Cabergoline is the go-to drug. You will also hear a lot of negative bullshit about cabergoline causing left ventricular hypertrophy. This is not true at any of the doses that bodybuilders are likely to use. I use cabergoline year-round. I'm currently taking 1 milligram of cabergoline a week. I have had 0 negative effects in all of the doses that I've taken. It causes me no side effects at all. It is very well tolerated. I have no idea where any of these idiots get this idea that it's a harsh drug. You'll hear people saying cabergoline's really harsh, but when you ask them why, none of them can tell you. They'll always start to try to mention left ventricular hypertrophy, and it's just because they're retarded and they can't read the data. So do not listen to any of the negativity that you hear in the community about Trenbolone. It is all massively overblown. Trenbolone, as I said in the beginning, is the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. There is no greater drug for any bodybuilding purpose. If you are bulking, Trenbolone. If you are cutting, Trenbolone. If you are cruising, Trenbolone. If you are quitting steroids and you're only going to take one drug for the rest of your life, Trenbolone. If you're depressed, Trenbolone. If you need better sex in your life, Trenbolone. The answer to every question is Trenbolone. There's no question that cannot be answered in some form or fashion with Trenbolone. It is my favorite drug of all. It is why I'm sitting here today with a Trenbolone hat and Trenbolone t-shirts, making the updated version to Trenbolone a love story. Trenbolone is the best spouse, friend, lover you can imagine. One of my favorite things to do in life, I've mentioned this before, but I've never said it in this context. I am a huge, giant Taylor Swift fan. And when I listen to Taylor Swift music and she's telling a story, like I was just listening to Fearless in the car on the way home just now, and when she's singing a song talking about the guy she's in love with, I twist the lyrics up in my head and I just put Trenbolone in the seat right next to me. Any love song you can imagine, take the dude out, put a bottle of Trenbolone in. This song will have brand new meaning for you because it takes a lot to handle. I'm not here to bullshit you and pretend like this is not a dangerous drug to use. In the wrong hands, this drug can be very, very potentially dangerous. It does all of the negative things psychologically that people say it does. It is just not even remotely as internally toxic as anyone will lead you to believe. So if you decide to set out on a Trenbolone journey, please do all of the rest of us a favor in the community and start low. Trust me, it does not take much. 50 milligrams of Tren per week. If you've never run it, you will feel it. It is active at 50 milligrams. It is very active at 100 milligrams. 200 milligrams, hold the fuck on. 300 milligrams of Tren, you better have a fucking lawyer on speed dial. 500 milligrams of Tren, you better have a lawyer on speed dial, you better have somebody to help you fucking hide a body, and you better have a couple of fucking spare passports because you're gonna need to get the fuck out of the country fast. Anything over 500 milligrams of Trenbolone, you are an insane person and I cannot help you. That is the dosing protocol. If you needed a dosing protocol, there you have it. Again, you don't have to worry about aromatization, so there's no estrogen. You don't have to worry about 5-alpha reduction. Trenbolone is a very dry, hardening drug. You will never in life look better than you did on Tren. Tren has an ability to just produce an aesthetic. My shoulders that are big and round are naturally big and round. They look even bigger and more round and more jacked on Tren. Without a doubt. Tren has what I call a Trensthetic. And so there's just a shape that your body will take on when you run Trenbolone. You will get Trensomnia. You will get the Trensthetic. You will get the Trensanity. These are the shirts that I'm thinking about coming out with. All of the fucking negatives that you can think about. Stick Tren at the beginning and it will absolutely cause it. But if you are capable of tolerating this drug, if you can learn to control the drug instead of letting the drug control you, you will be in the presence of gods. You will become a god God amongst mere mortals, and there is nothing better in this world. I've done all of the street drugs that you can do. Nothing compares to the power of Tren coursing through your veins. You will have the most savage, amazing workouts and the most savage existence that you can possibly imagine. So there you have it. As always, thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.